The night shift at Green Rock State Penitentiary was Daniel Cross's world now. The squeak of the mop bucket, the distant clank of steel doors, and the occasional bark of an angry guard were the sounds that marked his life. At 53, with a limp in his right leg and calloused hands, Daniel seemed like nothing more than another weary man, trying to make it through his shift. But behind the worn eyes, he carried the weight of battles fought in deserts and jungles. Battles no one outside his old unit would ever know. Once upon a time, he had been Wolfhound, the quiet shadow of Delta Force, the man sent in when missions had a zero chance of survival. Yet none of that mattered now. Not to the prison guards who mocked him, not to the inmates who sneered, and not to the warden who barely remembered his name. What did matter was the face of his daughter, Lily, 17 years old, bright and stubborn. She was the reason he kept going. After losing his wife to illness years ago, Daniel had sworn he would never let his daughter feel unprotected. He worked the graveyard shift so she could sleep safely at home, so she could have a shot at college, at a future better than his broken one. But fate had other plans. One night, as Daniel pushed his mop along the echoing halls of Cell Block C, tension thickened in the air. The inmates had been restless for days. Whispers of a new prison gang forming, one brutal enough to rival even the old cartels. And on this night, as the guards grew careless and the radios stayed silent, Daniel felt the old instinct stirring. His sixth sense, the one that had saved him countless times overseas, told him something was about to happen. He was right. From the shadows of the block, 3 men stepped forward. Tattoos crawling up their necks, eyes burning with malice, they blocked his path. One carried a sharpened shank, another a length of chain. "Old man," the leader sneered, "looks like you wandered into the wrong part of the prison." Daniel gripped the mop handle, forcing himself to breathe slow to stay calm. He wasn't a soldier anymore. He couldn't be. Not here. Not now. But when the first strike came, the chain whipping toward his head, something inside him woke up. Years of training, muscle memory buried deep, surged forward. With a single pivot, Daniel caught the chain on the mop handle, twisting it free. The shank lunged next, but his hand snapped forward, wrist locking the attacker until the blade clattered to the floor. The fight was over in seconds, the men groaning on the ground, clutching broken bones, and stunned by the ferocity of the janitor they had thought was easy prey. Daniel stood over them, chest heaving, mop handle cracked in half. For the first time in decades, he realized he had revealed just a glimpse of who he truly was. But danger was only beginning. The gang had seen. The guards had seen. And word would spread fast. The janitor wasn't just a janitor. The warden's office smelled of stale coffee and cheap tobacco. Daniel sat in the hard chair, bruised knuckles still raw. Across from him, Warden Harlan leaned back, studying him with wary eyes. "Where the hell did you learn to fight like that?" Harlan demanded. Daniel said nothing. Years of habit had trained him in silence. But silence didn't stop the rumors. Within days, the entire prison buzzed with whispers about the old janitor who had dropped 3 gang soldiers in seconds. Some said he was ex-military. Others swore he was special forces, and the gang, the Black Vultures, wanted blood. For Daniel, it meant his daughter was now in danger. The Vultures had connections beyond the prison walls, and he knew too well how far men like that would go to send a message. He couldn't let Lily become a target. So, for the first time in years, he went into the attic of his modest home. There, in a dusty trunk, lay remnants of his past, a knife with a blackened hilt, a weathered patch of a wolf's head, and a faded photo of his old Delta Force team. He stared at the gear, hands trembling. He had buried that life, sworn it was over. But now, he might need it again. Meanwhile, the Black Vultures plotted their revenge. One stormy night as Daniel mopped the West Wing, alarms blared. Power cut out. The cell doors of C Block slid open. Not by accident, but by design. From the darkness, dozens of footsteps echoed, and then came the sound of chains dragging on the floor. The vultures were coming. Daniel gripped his mop handle, but this time he didn't fight like a janitor. He fought like Wolfhound. Every strike was precise, every movement lethal but controlled. He dismantled attackers with brutal efficiency, using the environment, a broom, a bucket, even the steel railings, as weapons. Guards watched in disbelief as the quiet janitor tore through hardened gang members with the skill of a man forged in battle. When it was over, Daniel stood in the flickering light, surrounded by groaning bodies, his chest rising and falling like a beast awakened. For a long moment, the prison was silent. Then a young guard whispered, "Who the hell is he?" Daniel didn't answer. He didn't need to. Deep down, he knew the truth. He wasn't just a janitor. He wasn't just a single dad. He was still Wolfhound. And now the world knew it too.